Yamaji's master plan has revolutionized the energy industry with their groundbreaking reactor system, surpassing all existing power plant technologies. Not only does it generate unprecedented amounts of power, but it also operates with remarkable efficiency and environmental friendliness. Unfortunately, there are influential individuals opposing the widespread adoption of these reactors, fearing shifts in power dynamics. As a result, the energy minister hesitates to accelerate production. However, Joseph, being proactive, has taken the initiative to secure support from other officials, ensuring that the path to ramping up production remains open. The energy minister knows that the individuals on this list would not easily agree to approve the project, making him suspect that Joseph may have bribed them. Although the officials appear confident, Joseph assures him that bribery was not a factor. Instead, he emphasizes that their decision was influenced by fear of Yamaji's retaliation should they refuse. Thus, he urges the minister to give his approval as well. Emma informs Higan about the details of Yamaji's master plan. According to the plan, Yamaji intends to offer AUZA's ninja forces as support to accelerate the progress of their energy system. Once this system is successfully implemented worldwide, Yamaji plans to leverage their newfound influence to control nations from within. After Emma became a lieutenant under Yamaji, she realized the organization had become a puppet of AUZA. As a result, the pride associated with being called a ninja had vanished. With no other choice, Emma's only course of action is to help Higan dismantle everything. Meanwhile, Mike has just informed Jason about the current situation, and understandably, Jason is panicking. Just days ago, he was merely an angry man who had been fired from his job, but now he's being pursued by ninjas solely because of Mike's appearance. Mike tries to justify the situation by suggesting that Jason would still be in danger regardless of his involvement in AUZA's affairs. Now that Jason has taken the risk and made himself a target, his only remaining option is to push forward until they uncover AUZA's hidden secrets. Jason is willing to help, but only on the condition that Mike protects him until the end. However, Jason won't be able to take action until he gains access to a computer. Mike mentions that he recognized a name in AUZA's database, prompting Jason to inquire about Emma's identity. Mike is left with much to process as he discovers that Emma has been a spy all along. In AUZA City, all citizens must pass through mandatory checkpoints due to the chaos caused by Emma's earlier battle. In a nearby truck, Emma and Higan prepare to escape. Once Emma successfully runs her program, she temporarily shuts down all electrical systems in the city. She then switches the truck to gasoline power and speeds through the checkpoint. The guards attempt to launch a drone attack, but with the systems offline, they can only watch as the fugitives escape. After leaving the city, Higan asks if Emma has any clues about Yamaji's current whereabouts. Unfortunately, she doesn't know, except for the fact that Yamaji must be executing their plan at this very moment. Their recent activities have forced them to act quickly, so they must also strategize their next move. Their next objective is to infiltrate one of AUZA's unfinished power plants, where they will harness energy to upgrade Higan's Gusoku gear. Based on intelligence gathered by Emma, there should be portable energy tanks available for use during tomorrow's operational test. She knows that another lieutenant will also be present for the trial. Higan sees this as the perfect opportunity to pressure them into revealing Yamaji's location. However, Emma reminds him of the importance of staying focused during battle, as the Gusoku gear performs better when he isn't distracted. Higan understands that he needs to find a way to control the anger within him, but that's easier said than done. That night, Higan reflects on the family he has lost while Emma works on optimizing the gear's performance for him. She acknowledges Higan's extraordinary combat skills but remains determined to do everything she can to protect him, especially for Mary's sake. During the operational test, soldiers are deployed to confront Dilly, who is operating his suit at maximum capacity. At first, people assume this is merely a test, but shockingly, he effortlessly incapacitates these soldiers by snapping their necks, simply because he can. Meanwhile, Joseph is aboard a jet above the field, acting as the defense minister. Curious about his reaction, he asks if Dilly is impressed by the ongoing spectacle. However, due to limited battery capacity, the suit can only function at full power for about 5 minutes. Even so, they prove to be an incredibly formidable force. Simultaneously, inside the power plant, the operational test is also being conducted on the energy system alongside Big D's equipment. Fortunately, there are no explosions, indicating a successful test. However, Big D seems to have a different focus at the moment. Emma is also present at the base and has just secured one of the energy tanks. She is about to rejoin Higan when suddenly, Big D appears and attacks her with floating centipedes. Unfortunately, Emma is at a disadvantage since she doesn't have her gear. Realizing this, she decides to attempt an escape. Just as Big D is about to reach her, Higan bursts through the ceiling and blocks the centipedes. Big D recognizes Higan's suit as a combat type and has always wanted to test himself against a worthy opponent, so he proposes a deal to them. Big D knows that Higan and Emma are desperate to learn Yamaji's current whereabouts. He proposes a deal. If Higan agrees to a fair one-on-one fight and wins, Big D will reveal the information. Emma is skeptical of this offer, suspecting a trap, but they have little choice. Big D takes the initiative and launches his robotic centipedes at Higan. Seizing the opportunity, he swiftly kicks Higan into a wall and ensnares him with one of the centipedes, relentlessly attacking. Higan is in a tough spot, but Emma is determined to find a way to help him turn the tide. Currently, Big D is wirelessly recharging his suit with the reactor system. If Emma can disrupt that system, Higan might have a fighting chance. However, it won't be easy, as Big D has sent one of his centipedes after her. Despite the challenge, Higan begins to regain his strength by destroying one of the centipedes and skillfully dodging subsequent attacks. Meanwhile, Emma showcases her impressive agility by evading the pursuing centipede and using her equipment to halt its advance. Emma remains calm as someone approaches, but she doesn't falter. Quickly, she grabs one of the energy cores and cleverly converts it into an emergency grenade, destroying both the power generator and the centipede threat. As the dust settles, Emma realizes the explosion has destabilized the building, forcing her to dodge falling debris. Unfortunately, she accidentally rolls into a gap in the floor, causing her to fall with no way to stop herself. Just as she's about to suffer a potentially fatal injury, Higan swoops in to save her, catching her just in time before his suit loses power due to damage to the generator. Although their suit's power supply has been cut off, there's still a chance for Big D to easily defeat them by calling reinforcements. However, he doesn't take that action, deeming it unfair, as that's not how he operates. Instead, he lets them go until the next opportunity for a fair fight with Higan arises. With that, the two successfully escape the base unharmed. As Higan helps bandage Emma's wounds, he curiously asks why she goes to such lengths to protect him. Emma explains that she claims it's to fulfill Mary's wish, but in truth, she does it for her own reasons. Mari never directly asked her to do anything, but Emma feels compelled to act. Suddenly, she receives an alert that someone has powered on her computer in the car. Mike and Jason have obtained the car through unconventional means. Although this might prevent Mike from returning to his role as an FBI agent, he feels satisfied as long as he can protect innocent people from harm. Jason tries to crack the encryption Emma placed on the car, but it proves too difficult for him. The encryption's complexity leads Jason to believe that Emma is no ordinary person, she must be a highly skilled computer genius. Unexpectedly, the radio turns on, playing a song that triggers Mike's memories of Emma. Shortly after Emma joined the FBI and became his partner, Mike took her to a bar. He wanted to discuss her tendency to act independently too often, but Emma saw no reason to rely on him. Mike tried to convince her that trust was essential because they were family in this line of work, but Emma still didn't see him as family and found it slightly embarrassing. Although they gradually grew closer, Mike often complained that Emma ruined the mood with her attitude. To lighten things up, Mike would start singing. Emma finally tracks down her car and corners Mike and Jason. Jason panics and throws a bunch of firecrackers at them, prompting Mike to react quickly and attempt a judo throw on the attacker. Surprisingly, Higan remains unfazed, showcasing his extraordinary physical resilience. Realizing there's no immediate danger, they all sit down to talk. Now, Mike learns the full story about Emma, who was secretly assigned as a spy by the FBI. However, Emma assures him that she was never involved in any plan to harm Mike. Mike isn't comforted by the fact that she was just following orders. He feels he needs a break to process everything. However, as he steps outside, he forgets about the scattered firecrackers and ends up falling right onto them. Later, Emma patches up his wounds and apologizes for hiding the truth from him for so long. Surprisingly, Mike doesn't blame her, as he understands that Emma had her own reasons, much like his late daughter's wish to protect the innocent. Although he dislikes being kept in the dark, he holds no grudge against Emma. They reconcile, and the next day, they take time to review the evidence they've gathered about AUZA's plans. They are determined to use AUZA's technology to control the entire world's energy infrastructure. Although they have video evidence of AUZA's creations, it would easily be dismissed as fake if presented as proof. After all, who would believe that ninjas are using AUZA suits? However, this doesn't mean they can stay idle and let AUZA take over the world. Meanwhile, Joseph struggles with the aftermath of Higan and Emma's attack. He assures the ministers that he'll handle the situation, but there's no guarantee he can maintain control. The team then discusses their next steps. Emma and Higan will head to an active power plant to shut it down and secure the energy supply they need. Meanwhile, Mike and Jason will continue their investigation, with Mike warning that they might inadvertently expose the existence of ninjas to the world. Higan doesn't care, so Emma grants Jason access to her computer. Mike's curiosity about Emma and Higan's relationship backfires when he receives a swift kick to the groin. On the other hand, Joseph is furious because Big D let Higan escape. Yamaji explains that Higan is too skilled in combat, so Big D's decision was justified. Even so, Joseph remains angry because government officials are reconsidering their support due to the ninjas' reckless actions. Joseph appears insane, claiming to have complete control over people, nature, and all living beings. He sees world domination as a mere game but threatens to end their partnership if Yamaji fails to control the ninjas. Yamaji is uncomfortable with this game-like approach, so he explains that the ninjas' mission is to find despicable individuals like Joseph and eliminate them. This threat enrages Joseph, and he warns Yamaji that if his men make another mistake, he'll force them to commit seppuku. However, after Joseph leaves, Yamaji notes that the fool doesn't even know the difference between ninjas and samurai. Yamaji realizes the time to act has come, and we catch a glimpse of Zai. Emma explains that something called the Ana circuit is the core of the Gusoku gear. It's extremely delicate and sensitive, so it must be handled with great care, just like how Higan treats Mari. Higan remarks that he always annoys Mari. Emma hands him the Gusoku gear manual to study carefully, but Higan insists that Emma focus more on her own safety. He's already helped her enough, so Higan suggests that Emma stay with Mike and start planning how she'll remain hidden after everything is over. Emma is fed up with men trying to act tough, but Mike reminds her that in their line of work, being partners is like being family. Emma refuses to let Higan go alone but agrees to help Jason, whom she calls the weirdo, with the investigation first. Jason dislikes being called a weirdo and surprises them by bringing food. He mentions that famous gangs like the Yakuza have bonded over meals throughout history, so they should do the same. Emma reflects on how Mike and Mari shared their thoughts on family with her, and she begins to trust their perspective. They all enjoy themselves, but a tracking device is discovered in their truck. Meanwhile, the energy minister demands answers about the power plant explosion. Joseph tries to downplay the situation but is warned that the advisory committee can no longer ignore public opinion, regardless of bribes. Joseph grows furious, and the call abruptly ends. Dilly explains that Big D is unavailable because he took the day off for a haircut. Still, Joseph insists on contacting him due to the emergency. Big D ignores their call, already aware of their intentions, as he's been tracking Higan. The clever man concludes that life is meaningless without style. Joseph is frustrated that he missed something, so Dilly offers to fix it on Big D's behalf. Joseph decides to step out briefly, but Dilly will have to make up for it when he returns. Later, Joseph meets with Zai, who suggests that if he were in charge, he'd deal with Higan immediately. Zai questions Joseph's presence, and the researchers explain that he's merely inspecting the maintenance of Big D's equipment. Zai then checks the progress of the new Gusoku gear, reported to be 95% complete. Meanwhile, Mike asks Higan to protect Emma while they separate. In Emma's car, she and Jason search through AUZA's servers for reports containing crucial evidence to bring down AUZA, as well as the identities of those they've reported, who turn out to be high-ranking officials in the country. Big D is pleased with his haircut and praises the barber's improving skills. He receives word that his Gusoku gear maintenance is complete, so he sets off. After returning to the car, the nerds successfully breach the firewall. Emma tries to calm Jason, but he's already determined to get revenge. Suddenly, Big D appears and urges Higan to prepare immediately. Emma allows Mike to use the weapons in the truck, prompting Mike to order the nerds to stay in the car and continue hacking. Higan arrives fully geared, triggering an intense battle with Big D. Though Higan manages to slice off one of Big D's centipedes, it quickly regenerates. Big D grows furious when Joseph's men intervene. Joseph promises not to interfere with the fight and instead orders them to shoot at Emma's car. Emma deploys her robot to shield the car, warning that it won't be enough if the enemy has a rocket launcher. Unfortunately, they do, but Mike counters using Emma's weapon. The initial plan seems successful, but unfortunately, it puts Mike in danger. Jason takes over the hacking while the others prepare to assist. Higan's ninja skills are tested as he faces Big D, who keeps pushing him back. Mike is in a perilous situation, but Emma arrives just in time to take out some enemies. AUZA security detects the hacking attempt, but it's too late. Jason has already obtained what he needs. A sniper shoots Mike, but fortunately, he's unharmed. Reflecting earlier, Mike had asked Higan to protect Emma, but Higan's main focus was taking down the organization. Mike jokes that Emma's kick hurt more than the bullet but is grateful for her protection. Emma still has much to learn from Mike, so he reassures her that he's not giving up yet. Together, they work as a team to defeat more attackers. Mike wields a powerful Gatling gun, while Emma showcases her pistol skills. Unfortunately, Emma finds herself in danger again, but this time, Mike comes to her rescue. As they regroup from the fierce battle, it becomes clear that Big D has begun dominating the fight with his Gusoku gear. However, Higan cleverly uses the manual to gain the upper hand and finally pierces Big D's chest with his sword. Strangely, Big D finds satisfaction in the elegant duel they just had. After removing his Gusoku gear, Higan rushes to Emma's side. He explains that he never betrayed his true beliefs and was never on their side from the beginning. This truth is hard for Big D to accept, but he still considers it a beautiful answer. As everyone prepares for Higan to end Big D's life, they're shocked when Big D begins emitting a bright light. Big D realizes that the despicable Joseph had rigged his suit to explode. Filled with rage, the honorable warrior shields Higan with his centipedes. Mike panics and runs to help Emma, calling her name. Emma, resigned to her fate, deploys her robot to protect Mike. A helpless Mike can only watch and scream her name as the suit explodes, causing a massive blast. Meanwhile, Joseph at Ayuza is furious that Big D has once again foiled his plans. The explosion was meant to kill all 5 of them but only took 1 life. Higan emerges from the wreckage, finds Big D gone, and rushes to Mike and Emma's side. Emma, severely wounded, manages to speak and worries about Mike's well-being. He reassures her he's fine, so Emma apologizes to Mari for not keeping her promise. Mike begs her to stay strong as they wait for an ambulance, and Emma reveals her true appearance. She doubts Mike would recognize her like this, but Mike assures her he would. He explains that it's a common technique he knows, and he promises to teach her too. Emma admits she always believed she'd die alone, but Mike refuses to entertain such thoughts. Emma begins singing, triggering a flashback to when Mike gave her a teddy bear at the bar. She imagines her younger self in that scene, savoring the moment as Mike sings along. Emma now sings the same song, but Mike is overcome with emotion as she passes away. The group then lays Emma's body to rest. Mike admits that Emma was quite a handful and always late. They shared a strong bond, and he confesses that talking to her felt like speaking to his own daughter. Emma represented a second chance for him, but he never got to express his true feelings. He scolds Emma for thinking she'd die alone, regretting not being honest with her. Higan, however, is certain Emma understood his sentiments, as he's never seen a ninja face death with the same expression Emma had. Mike suffers another emotional breakdown, leaving everyone in silence once more. Higan makes a solemn vow to dismantle the organization and declares that it's time to end their battle. Meanwhile, the situation grows more complicated as we witness the completion of Zai's latest Gusoku gear. Zai's past was shrouded in darkness, as he had once been a captive child. However, fate took a turn when the organization exterminated his kidnappers, and Yamaji found Zai seeking vengeance. Consumed by rage, Zai attempted to attack Yamaji, but Yamaji swiftly subdued him. Yamaji wondered if Zai would beg for mercy, but to his surprise, Zai retaliated by stabbing him. Yamaji explained that strength was the only thing he could trust and offered Zai a choice. If he desired the power to wield lethal fangs, he should join him. Zai accepted, and Yamaji became his mentor. Now, in the present, Zai prepares to don his new attire, ready to embrace his newfound abilities. Elsewhere, Mike playfully teased Higan's taste in energy drinks and was stunned when Higan laughed for the first time. Mike's hands were covered in wounds from burying Emma, and he remarked that the desert was too desolate for her grave. He didn't want her to feel lonely, so once everything was over, he proposed giving her a proper burial in their hometown. Higan pointed out that ninja like them had no hometown, they were destined to vanish as nameless corpses. Instead, he suggested turning this place into Emma's final resting ground, close to the people she had loved as family. They vowed to ensure her soul found peace by ending things decisively. Higan planned to take down Yamaji, the mastermind behind the organization, as eliminating him was the only way to dismantle it. Meanwhile, Mike would handle Ayuza, as they possessed substantial evidence of the company's corruption, which they intended to leak to major media outlets. Emma had sacrificed her life to obtain this critical information, and Mike was determined to use it effectively. However, Jason discovered a problem: the data they acquired was encrypted by a brilliant mind. Initially, Mike suspected Ayuza, but Jason revealed it was actually Emma who had encrypted it. She had wanted to ensure its safety until it reached Mike, but tragically, her plan had backfired. Jason faced the challenge of cracking the code but doubted his own skills. Suddenly, everyone was shocked by a news report accusing terrorists, specifically Higan's group, of attacking Ayuza's power plant. Joseph was exposed as the orchestrator, and he directed the energy minister's attention to the fact that public opinion now favored their side. The minister suspected Joseph of media manipulation, but Joseph merely stated that the entire team was in agreement, so they should proceed collaboratively. The minister remained unconvinced about the power plant's safety despite Joseph's claims and needed more time to decide whether to permit further construction. He also reminded Joseph to control his temper, referencing their earlier conversation. Yet, after ending the call, Joseph erupted in anger, frustrated that the minister wouldn't simply obey. His rage escalated when he learned they had been hacked and sensitive data might have been stolen. Meanwhile, things worsened for Joseph when Yamaji informed him that they had successfully extracted all necessary data from Ayuza, enabling their organization to produce their own Gusoku armor. Reunited with Higan, the group realized their plan had failed due to Ayuza's media control. They needed an alternative platform to amplify their message, so Jason proposed using a new tech platform. However, Mike dismissed his idea of making a viral video as inappropriate. Undeterred, Mike devised his own plan, instructing Jason to focus on decrypting the data while he sought another solution. Their discussion was interrupted by the unexpected arrival of a crow perched on their truck. The crow carried something in its beak, which Higan explained was a challenge for a duel. Naively, Jason thought Higan meant to fight the crow, but a flashback revealed the truth. When Zai accompanied Yamaji, the latter revealed that ninja were humanity's most formidable warriors, and whoever led them held the power to rule the world. Over time, it became clear that Zai's anger never subsided. During a training session, he relentlessly attacked a defeated opponent. Higan intervened, but Zai declared that the weak had no place among them. Higan countered that they were all ninja, but Zai argued that compensating for the weak in battle would only lead to death. Mari, who was also present, suggested settling their dispute through combat. After their match ended in a draw, Higan praised Zai's resilience. Following the incident, Zai underwent rigorous training, and Mari noticed he only showed kindness to crows. Known as the Reaper, Zai left every opponent he faced as a surrendered ninja, except Higan. Zai couldn't understand why Higan was different, and Mari was surprised to see him interested in something other than crows. It was later revealed that Higan, Zai, and Mari were the only ninja to pass a recent exam. Assigned a mission, they would officially become ninja upon its success. During the mission, they located their target but were ambushed by reinforcements. Ignoring Higan and Mari's pleas, Zai stubbornly fought alone until exhaustion. Accepting his fate, he was ready to die, until Higan saved him. Watching Higan defeat the remaining soldiers, Zai chose to fight alongside him. Yamaji later revealed the ambush had been a test. Zai was furious at his teammates for prioritizing his life over the mission, but they convinced him that unity made them stronger. Mari gently reminded Zai he wasn't alone. For the first time, Zai opened up, sharing his tragic past: abandoned at birth, left to die on a mountain, and saved by crows. He had only ever trusted crows and his own strength, but now he wondered if his teammates could show him a new world. They formed a bond, swearing to journey together. But everything shattered when Higan and Mari confessed they were leaving the organization, violating its code. Zai was stunned by Mari's pregnancy and reminded them of their oath. Enraged, he warned them to kill him now or he would hunt them down. They left him standing there, the bow symbolizing their promise broken at his feet. Higan returned to a hideout from their past. Jason urged him to ignore Zai's duel challenge, but Higan insisted facing Zai was necessary to move on. Donning his Gusoku armor, Higan prepared for battle. Meanwhile, Mike met his former FBI boss, revealing Emma's death and her role in gathering evidence against Ayuza. He accused the boss of corruption and demanded he share the evidence with trustworthy agents. The boss, feigning ignorance, secretly contacted the FBI to report Mike's whereabouts. In a fierce clash, Higan and Zai fought evenly in their powerful Gusoku armor. After losing their swords, they resorted to brutal strikes, their armor eventually shattering. Zai taunted Higan for not killing him when he had the chance. Higan acknowledged Zai represented his past mistakes and resolved to end things. Both vowed to help each other shed their burdens, once and for all. Now, Higan and Zai face each other with deadly seriousness. In an instant, the two engage in brutal hand-to-hand combat. A fierce mechanical clash is unavoidable, they fight savagely, exchanging merciless blows. This taijutsu battle drains them both of energy. Zai strikes and kicks Higan ruthlessly, while Higan refuses to back down, countering Zai's attacks like a professional MMA fighter. Just as Higan prepares to attack, Zai suddenly unleashes his secret ninjutsu technique, Thunder. This technique allows Zai to move at lightning speed, delivering a devastating blow that leaves Higan completely helpless. Though Higan struggles to recover, Zai refuses to let him escape. As the situation worsens, Higan finally activates his own secret ninjutsu Silence. Rising calmly and with heightened focus, he sharpens all his senses to their maximum level. Astonishingly, despite Zai's incredible speed, Higan lands precise punches on his old friend's face, not just once, but repeatedly. Higan dodges attacks while delivering absolute counterstrikes. Zai is momentarily stunned by Higan's hidden ability, especially since Higan has pushed his sensory perception beyond its limits. Drawing his sword, Zai slashes at Higan repeatedly. The clash of their ultimate techniques sends both flying backward with tremendous force. The battlefield is left in ruins, and in the chaos, Zai's mask shatters, revealing half of his face, scarred by burns. Without a word, Zai attacks Higan again, his rage now uncontrollable. It turns out that Zai had once been severely punished by the elders for allowing Higan and Mari to escape the organization. Deep down, Zai knew they intended to betray the organization, but he chose to remain silent. As a result, the elders branded him with burns he would never forget. Furious, Zai draws his sword and swings at Higan, blaming him for violating the shinobi code. He believes that if Higan hadn't acted recklessly, none of this would have happened. However, Higan insists that neither he nor Mari ever betrayed the code. They simply realized that no code or purpose was worth sacrificing the ability to love and protect what truly mattered. Higan is hurt that he and Mari were deemed unworthy of the organization, while Zai is furious, feeling betrayed by their lies and broken promises. For Zai, they were the first friends he ever had. Yet Higan reassures him that he and Mari always considered Zai a precious comrade. Zai's anger flares, and he beats Higan mercilessly. As he raises his sword for the final strike, a special tattoo suddenly appears on Higan's back, freezing Zai in his tracks. Higan explains that the tattoo was made in Zai's memory. No matter what, Higan wanted to show him a different world. Even as Zai stabs him, Higan declares he will never give up as a shinobi. He vows to destroy all of Zai's lies and fight for his own beliefs. Higan delivers a powerful internal strike, sending Zai flying. At that moment, Zai begins to realize he may have misjudged everything. Higan then shares Mary's dying wish: if Zai ever comes for you, let him do as he pleases, but he must learn to forgive himself. Mari believed Higan could show Zai a new perspective, and in turn, Zai would understand that life could offer a brighter future. Zai collapses, overwhelmed. After a moment, Higan tells his old friend that they will settle this another day. Elsewhere, Jason hits a dead end trying to decrypt Emma's data. He's shocked when Mike suddenly arrives, warning that the situation is worsening. The police will be there soon. Frustrated, Mike demands answers, but Jason explains he needs Emma's biometric signature to unlock the files. After searching the lab, they find no trace of her fingerprints. The two argue, blaming each other, until Mike remembers Emma once held a drawing left behind by her deceased daughter. Using that, they finally unlock the data. Jason laughs triumphantly, imagining the horrified face of AUZA's CEO. Meanwhile, Joseph calls Master Yamaji, praising his professionalism while revealing he's seen the CCTV footage of Yamaji's betrayal. Joseph laughs and orders his mercenaries to attack Yamaji's estate. The guards are gunned down one by one, but Yamaji is nowhere to be found. Suddenly, a bomb detonates, wiping out Joseph's entire squad. Yamaji then calls Joseph, coldly bidding him farewell. Panicked, Joseph grabs a gun, but Yamaji's ninja forces storm his building, slaughtering everyone indiscriminately. Joseph flees in terror, but the elevator doors won't open, until Dilly emerges, saving him. Dilly effortlessly cuts down the pursuing ninja. With the rooftop helicopter destroyed, she carries Joseph toward the lab to escape. Though they fight off more attackers, Yamaji soon corners them. To Yamaji's shock, Dilly betrays him, or so it seems. She sighs, explaining that Yamaji himself had assigned her to protect Joseph. But then, in a sudden twist, she chokes Joseph, apologizes, and throws him out, letting him escape by helicopter. Now, Dilly prepares for a final battle against Yamaji and his forces. Meanwhile, Mike and Jason are chased by police. With barricades and spike strips disabling their truck, Mike surrenders without resistance. Jason, however, laughs maniacally, having finally unlocked Emma's data using the fingerprint from her daughter's drawing. Back with Higan, he sits in silence after his fight with Zai. A black cat licks his hand as Kagari approaches him. Meanwhile, Zai reflects on Master Yamaji's orders to eliminate Higan, Mari, and even their child for the organization's goals. He steps outside, gazing at the moon, remembering Mary's words. Looking at the sky reminds me of the past. But instead of being trapped by it, we should face the future with a smile. For the first time, Zai considers a different path. Overwhelmed with emotion, he lets out a tormented roar amidst the desolate rocks. Realizing Kagari's presence nearby, Higan refused to be healed. Kagari herself wasn't concerned about Higan's physical condition, she was only worried about the wounds in Higan's heart. Higan remained silent, head bowed, as if his actions confirmed Kagari's words. Kagari also knew that Higan had fought desperately against Zai. This fact shocked Higan, especially since Kagari even knew the details of Zai's secret ninjutsu techniques, and his own. Higan immediately asked how Kagari could know his secret techniques in such detail. Suddenly, Kagari's body transformed into a figure Higan knew all too well. Yes, Higan was utterly stunned to see the elder of the clan standing tall before him. The elder had come solely to explain to Higan the background and all the issues within the organization. Elsewhere, Dilly was overpowering and slamming several ninja troops with his powerful punches and kicks. He quickly donned his Gusoku gear to face Master Yamaji. Dilly's strength in the Gusoku gear was no joke, even his standard punches could severely damage Auza's buildings. Joseph could only watch helplessly as his magnificent palace crumbled. Unfortunately, that terrifying power still wasn't enough to defeat Yamaji. Earlier, Dilly had always remembered Joseph's kindness and charisma. Back then, Joseph had thanked Dilly for all his hard work, which had brought Auza Corporation back to success. The performance of every department had improved. Unexpectedly, Joseph asked Dilly for his opinion on the board meeting's proposed resolutions. Dilly had never refused Joseph's decisions or plans. As a ninja and secretary, Dilly had been taught to always obey his superiors. But Joseph believed Dilly didn't have to be like that. According to Joseph, no problems would ever be solved if everyone clung to tradition or habit. Without madness, the world would be dull and monotonous. Auza's role was to free society from those shackles of evil. Joseph then changed Dilly's mindset, urging him to do what he loved, because making changes would make the world more enjoyable. Joseph's important message left Dilly stunned. He even believed that even if Auza vanished, the world would surely become better as long as Joseph was alive. However, Yamaji dismissed Dilly's opinion, insisting that the shinobi would take full control. Yamaji never expected Dilly to believe Joseph's nonsense. Dilly couldn't accept Yamaji belittling Joseph. To him, Joseph's words made far more sense, at least for himself, because Joseph had the power to change the world for the better. Dilly then lunged and unleashed a barrage of attacks at Yamaji. Unfortunately, all of them were effortlessly dodged by Master Yamaji. Even worse, Yamaji appeared in his own Gusoku gear, a perfect robot version named Mikado. Instantly, Dilly attacked head-on, but Yamaji countered with a brutal strike. The impact was so devastating that it destroyed Auza's supposedly advanced defense system. Dilly collapsed in pain and ultimately perished at Master Yamaji's hands. From above, Joseph watched this tragic scene with deep sorrow. Meanwhile, Higan asked Kagari why the old man had always helped him, even though Higan was just a rogue ninja. Higan had let his emotions and personality grow, which meant he had violated the shinobi code taught by Kagari, or the elder of the clan. Kagari fell silent for a moment at Higan's question. Unexpectedly, the old man replied that the ninja code had shackled shinobi with unbreakable chains, like a curse. Since ancient times, the ninja organization had been determined to eliminate all rival syndicates. They had conquered the underworld and maintained their shadowy dominance for centuries. However, Yamaji once said that such conquest didn't require ninja skills. He even advised the clan elders to reject the traditions of past ninja. Japan had long distanced itself from the organization. Who would trust a suspicious group like the shinobi? They had long adopted modern technology, yet remained bound by their code. The elder had sought a new destiny for the shinobi, but this only confused him because he himself was bound by the code. Only then did he realize he had been trapped by it all along. Disguised as Kagari, he searched for answers and observed the organization. That was when he discovered that Higan and Mary's hearts were filled with compassion. Kagari told Mari that he sensed hesitation mixed with calmness in her, a warmth no ninja had ever possessed before. Higan had the same warmth. Kagari continued that there was nothing wrong with valuing friends, but Higan and Mary's bond went far deeper. If they continued like that, tragedy would strike. And it did, the deaths of Mari and Ren, witnessed by Higan. Being hunted was the fate of those who broke the ninja code. Though Mari wasn't ready, she refused to surrender to fate. She chose to follow her heart. Since ancient times, shinobi had been trapped in a life of brutal competition. That's why Kagari saw Higan and Mary's case as a major change. The elder had always watched Higan, Zai, and Mary's movements. Shinobi weren't just soldiers wielding swords. Higan, Zai and Mari seemed to be telling him that. But Yamaji was different. He sought a path for the shinobi's future, even if it was twisted. The elder opposed Yamaji's vision, which would claim countless lives. Yamaji insisted this was for the shinobi's sake, sacrifices were necessary for true peace. To achieve it, Yamaji would eliminate anything unnecessary, including the now doubting elder, whom he deemed useless. With a single slash, Yamaji beheaded the elder, killing him instantly. Yamaji's chosen path was to impose strict rules, sacrificing emotions as the only way to gain limitless power. Kagari grieved, as his hope for a better shinobi future had failed. Seeing the elder, now Kagari, Higan wondered how the old man was still alive. It turned out the elder's secret technique was like a cat with 9 lives. Sadly, he had now lost his abilities as a shinobi. That was why Kagari couldn't stop Yamaji. Unexpectedly, the old man knelt and begged Higan to end this tragic fate by defeating Yamaji. But Higan refused to fight for the shinobi. He would fight for his family and precious friends who had given life to his heart. The next day, Edward was interrogating Mike Morris in an FBI interrogation room. He demanded Emma's data, promising to handle everything as Mike wished. But Mike refused, certain Edward would destroy the evidence. Firmly, Mike demanded Edward arrest AUZA's CEO, Joseph Evans. He no longer wanted to rely on other agents, he just hoped Edward could restore the FBI's honor. Edward called Mike a fool. The situation was too complex, with 2 major organizations colluding. Edward admitted he lacked the influence to solve this. As fellow veterans, he urged Mike to surrender, especially since Mike understood the gravity of the situation. Mike didn't deny Edward's words, but that was exactly why he demanded action. Just then, Edward received word of leaked AUZA data online. It contained classified intel on the secret shinobi organization AUZA used, as well as high-ranking official secret accounts in AUZA's bank. Some names were redacted, but Mike said they were Edward's FBI superiors. Though Edward had been furious earlier, this fact silenced him. Mike grinned, slammed the table, and demanded Edward show courage. He wouldn't back down. Edward had taught him the meaning of true justice. He yelled, asking where Edward's knightly spirit and old comrades' fire had gone. Finally, Mike bowed his head and begged Edward to take strategic action. Edward felt both annoyed and cornered. He ordered the CCTV in the interrogation room turned off. The 2 removed their jackets and started brawling, settling their dispute their own way. Meanwhile, Joseph panicked as news broke of AUZA using shinobi military forces for personal gain. He received an FBI arrest warrant but had reportedly fled. Joseph was furious, especially as all his allies abandoned him. Strangely, he smiled. He threatened to detonate all AUZA reactors across the region. The damage could span 100 kilometers. If the nation's leaders made the wrong move, the world would be destroyed. Though bruised, Mike and Edward seemed to have reconciled. They exchanged theories about the case. Unfortunately, the FBI had already moved to hunt Joseph. Edward suspected the higher-ups intended to silence him. Meanwhile, Yamaji's robot army, equipped with Dilly's Gusoku gear, flew toward the defense minister's office in the White House to wreak havoc. Yamaji watched his Iron Man-like troops carry out his will. This was the dawn of his new world, a world created by ninja, for ninja. At the same time, Higan rode his motorcycle for a final reckoning with Yamaji. He carried his Gusoku gear for this last battle. Earlier, Kagari had said Yamaji was preparing to face his only obstacle, Higan. Suddenly, Yamaji's right eye opened, revealing 2 terrifying pupils. Currently, the Pentagon and the White House have been taken over by shinobi forces. According to witness accounts, all the AUZA reactors that Joseph had previously planned to detonate also appear to have been seized by the shinobi. Edward explains to Mike that the FBI is still trying to gather more information. He instructs Mike to focus on tracking down and capturing Joseph. Edward also apologizes for his past harsh treatment, promising to treat Mike to the best food and drinks once the case is resolved. Naturally, Mike hopes Edward won't forget his promise. Mike receives a call from Jason, who reports that Joseph is hiding in the AUZA hotel. As Mike predicted, the hotel is equipped with an emergency escape route, and Joseph has likely fled through it. At the White House, the Secretary of Defense realizes that Yamaji deliberately built a shinobi base under the guise of a government power plant. This gave Yamaji the freedom to launch attacks anytime, anywhere. The entire staff and agents are completely helpless against the ninja threat. However, Yamaji has no intention of taking over the country. His goal remains unchanged. The shinobi must bring peace to the world. The Secretary of Defense struggles to comprehend Yamaji's concept of peace, as it seems contradictory from any perspective. In this world, there are countless disparities, ethnic, territorial, and resource-related, that fuel anger and greed. Yamaji and the ninja aim to eliminate all of that, becoming the supreme force overseeing the world. They will also punish anyone who disrupts peace. Yamaji reveals that he and the ninja have fully seized control of AUZA's technology and resources. They are also monitoring Joseph's movements, waiting for the right moment to eliminate him. But before that, Yamaji and his forces must deal with their biggest problem, Higan. At that very moment, Higan, who is driving, is ambushed by a group of ninja robots. He quickly dons his Kamui gear to fight off the machines blocking his path. Meanwhile, Edward informs Mike that Joseph is driving north along the highway at kilometer 86. Mike immediately speeds to the location, while Edward dispatches nearby FBI agents for backup. Jason, busy at his laptop, attempts to hack and manipulate satellites in orbit. At the moment, Joseph prepares to take off in a plane loaded with genetically modified pigs developed at the KM-86 toll area. He plans to return after the world undergoes drastic changes. However, his plan is disrupted when Mike suddenly appears, accelerating his vehicle. Mike's car crashes into the plane's landing gear, causing it to skid out of control. Joseph quickly flees, but Mike refuses to let him escape. Despite being out of breath, Mike catches up and apprehends Joseph. Joseph bites Mike's arm and tries to run again. Mike draws his gun, but Joseph refuses to surrender, threatening to detonate the AUZA reactors with his wristwatch. Mike urges Joseph to give up, as resistance is futile. Yet, Joseph presses the button on his watch, only to be baffled when nothing happens. The AUZA reactors remain intact. It turns out Jason successfully jammed the satellite signal. Seeing Joseph's confusion, Mike swiftly kicks him down, vowing to imprison him immediately. Joseph, however, remains calm, confident that his genius will secure his quick release. But Mike's anger erupts when Joseph mentions the ninja who must be shattered to pieces, reminding Mike of Emma's struggles and sacrifices. Overcome with rage, Mike punches Joseph to the ground and continues beating him before finally pointing his gun at Joseph's head and pulling the trigger. Elsewhere, Higan finishes off the robot squad and confronts Master Yamaji. Yamaji declares that the shinobi's long-awaited dream, 600 years in the making, is finally within reach. But Higan doesn't care. He is here only to end the cycle of tragedy Yamaji created. Higan declares that the era of ninja and their organization ends here. Yamaji can no longer hide in the shadows. Yet, Yamaji insists that ninja power will bring world peace. If the current situation is chaotic, it is not what he envisioned. The old man unsheathes his massive sword, determined to settle everything now. The battle between Higan and Yamaji is inevitable. Their blades clash relentlessly. Yamaji wields a combination of smaller swords, while Higan remains loyal to his dual katana style. Despite Higan's relentless assaults, Yamaji's defenses hold strong. Higan is pushed back but retaliates with a counterattack. Even when Yamaji fights unarmed, he matches Higan's every move. But even the cleverest squirrel eventually falls. Yamaji begins to falter under Higan's relentless strikes. Suddenly, Zai ambushes Higan. Having dedicated his life to the shinobi cause, Zai aids Yamaji in overpowering Higan. The fight becomes one-sided, and Higan is cornered. He chants and unleashes his secret technique, silence, but this time, it proves ineffective. Master Yamaji counters with his own secret technique, Divine Will, which shatters the enemy's mind, transporting them to another dimension. Higan is suddenly plunged into visions of his past, seeing himself, Zai, and Mari vowing to protect each other. But Zai is disappointed, accusing Higan of betrayal. Then, Higan witnesses a conversation with Mari, promising to raise their child together. He is horrified to see his wife and child brutally killed, leaving him weeping in regret for failing to save them. In this subconscious realm, Zai watches Higan expressionlessly while Yamaji lectures about the greatness of the shinobi. Despite past betrayals, Yamaji claims the path to a glorious future is near. Hearing this, Zai recalls Mary's advice that one day he would understand the meaning of the future. Just as Yamaji prepares to execute Higan, Zai unexpectedly rescues him. But his defiance comes at a cost. Yamaji severs Zai's arm. Though Zai stabs Yamaji with his sword, the old man remains unfazed. Yamaji realizes Zai deeply longs for companionship. He then hurls both enemies into an underground area housing a massive reactor. Yamaji absorbs the reactor's energy, gaining limitless power. Even with his Kamui gear recharged, Higan is no match for Yamaji's overwhelming strength. He is tossed around helplessly. Yamaji refuses to accept Higan's defiance, especially when it challenges the shinobi's ideals. His power grows uncontrollably, syncing with AUZA's power grid. As Higan nears defeat, Mari appears in his subconscious, urging him not to give up. She reminds him that he is a man of strong will, not one to succumb to despair. She asks him to embrace his ninja philosophy. A shinobi must be as cold as fire and as hot as ice. Mary's words rekindle Higan's spirit. He calmly approaches Yamaji. His Kamui gear responds to his resolve, turning pitch black. Zai is stunned, especially when Higan chants and unleashes a new secret technique, lightning. Yamaji is in disbelief, as no shinobi has ever mastered more than one secret technique. Moving at lightning speed, Higan delivers a barrage of slashes and thrusts. Yamaji releases his full power, but Higan charges through, delivering a final, devastating strike. His slash splits the sky, and the power plant sustaining Yamaji suddenly shuts down. Yamaji collapses before Higan. The old man warns Higan not to grow arrogant, another successor will inherit his will. Even if Yamaji perishes, the shinobi's dream will live on. The scene then shifts to an unknown ninja effortlessly dismantling Yamaji's robot army. Whether this ninja is friend or foe remains unclear. Yamaji finally falls, closing his eyes forever. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Joseph is arrested by the police and FBI. It turns out Mike didn't kill him, only shooting his ear. Mike threatens to hunt Joseph down and beat him relentlessly, even if he escapes prison easily. The threat terrifies Joseph so much he wets himself. The police receive word that all captured government officials have been freed. Though details are unclear, the news is reassuring. Mike smiles, realizing Higan has succeeded in his mission. After Yamaji's death, Zai intends to take his own life. But Higan stops him, declaring that from this moment on, there are no more shinobi. Higan survived thanks to others, and he believes Zai can do the same. They owe it to those who helped them to keep living. Zai stands and asks if there's still a chance for a fresh start. Higan smiles at his friend's question. The truth is, there's more than one place to call home. With that understanding, Higan is sure Zai will see a different future. Days later, Higan throws his Kamui gear into the sea. He then sets off on a long journey, riding his beloved motorcycle into the horizon.